Hello, everyone. My name is Jorge Carrizales with Financial Aid. I am a financial aid processor, and I am one of seven, I believe, processors here at Financial Aid. So we take care of all the paperwork in regards to when a student turns in their application to on studentaid.gov to FAFSA. We receive them, and if there's any verifications that go along with them, that is the paperwork that we are in charge of, and we make sure students get verified in a timely manner. And we reach out to students about any complications that they might have with their documents or if they have any questions regarding financial aid. So I'm going to start off with explaining the financial aid process, so how it works out. So when a student logs on to studentaid.gov and applies for financial aid and puts our school code in, it is sent up to the Department of Education. Once the Department of Education receives it, they will review it, and if there's any issues with the application itself, it will be sent to us 3 to 5 business days after they receive it. Once we receive it from there, one of two things could happen. So if there is no complications with your application and the Department of Education requires no further verification for your paperwork, then it is sent right through and we process your application as is and you are packaged for Pell or loans, whatever you are entitled to. Another thing that can happen when it gets to the Department of Education, they see some discrepancies with your marital status. Maybe you weren't married in 2018, but you are now, some changes, stuff like that. That is where they will select students for verification. So once students are selected for verification, once we receive that application in 3 to 5 business days, that is where our work begins. Instead of automatically processing you and getting you ready and awarding you, we have to follow up with you and make sure that you receive all the verification paperwork and we explain the process to you thoroughly and anything else that we might need. Okay, so there are different types of verification. So we have the standard verification, we have the custom verification, the aggregate verification that we mainly work with. So the standard verification worksheet is just a quick verification of identity and stuff like that from the Department of Education. We verify how many people you have in your household and income. The custom verification goes a little more in detail with us needing a high school diploma or GED, as well as a copy of your driver's license and a notarized verification worksheet that you must get notarized. The aggregate verification worksheet is probably the most extensive one because we basically require all of the above. So we require your tax information, your high school diploma or GED, your notarized verification worksheet with a copy of your ID, as well as the form itself with people in the household and of that nature. So there's different verifications that you may be selected for depending on your circumstance. That is not up to us. That is, you are selected by the Department of Education, not by us. Okay? So we just have to carry out the paperwork once it's sent out to us by the Department of Education. So the timeline it usually takes for us to process students once we receive the FAFSA after 3 to 5 business days after you have applied for financial aid. For right now, for the 2021 school year, it is 2 to 3 weeks. Now, for the 21-22 school year, since that academic school year does not start until August, that our processing time for that school year is currently 4 to 6 weeks. So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of emails that I get on a daily basis and chats and phone calls about some misunderstandings with what the difference between the 2021 school year is and the 21-22 school year. So the 2021 school year is from fall 2020 to spring 2021 and summer 2021. Now, the 21-22 school year is fall 2021, sorry, to spring 2022 and summer 22. So our academic school years are actually split up between years. So it's not just one whole year of, the full year of 2020, or no, it's actually split up between three, or actually, yeah, 3 semesters. So it's the fall, spring, and summer. Do I have any questions? Does anybody have any questions right now?
I don't see any in the chat right now. I don't know about Facebook, Maricela. All right, still yours, Jorge.
Okay,
Any
sounds good.
questions?
Okay, so a lot of questions that we get here at Financial Aid are how are funds dispersed and the timeline for Pell and loans and questions regarding eligibility, TEOG eligibility, and stuff of that nature. So currently, how funds are dispersed, that is honestly a question for the business office. So when students enter their banking information on WebAdvisor under make payments and stuff like that, you'll see on the left-hand corner of WebAdvisor where you can actually put in your banking information, then that is how you would get a direct deposit of any loans or Pell that you have received from financial aid. If you do not do that, then the business office will send you a check. Okay? So now the timeline for the Pell and loans is all different depending on every student. Okay? So generally, if you're accepted for loans and you sign I mean, not loans, Pell, sorry. So if you are accepted your Pell grant and you sign your award letter, then we release the funds to the business office 10 days prior to classes starting. After we send out the funds to the business office, you will be able to check your web advisor and you should see a negative balance. Once you see that negative balance, you can actually take that negative balance and log on to the Central Texas College bookstore website and actually use that negative balance at checkout when you want to purchase books before classes start. And the business office has 30 days after the start date of the classes to release funds to you. It usually takes exactly the 30 days for them to release any funds that you may have from Pell. Okay. Now loans work a little differently. So loans are, if you are not a first-time loan borrower, they will be sent over to the business office with the Pell just as normal 10 days prior to classes starting, and the business office will release those as scheduled. But if you are a first-time loan borrower, I'm sorry, um, the loans will not be released until 30 days after classes have started to the business office. And then that's where it would start its process of getting released out to the students. So that is one of the biggest misunderstandings that we have with first-time loan borrowers and not first-time loan borrowers. What I mean by first-time loan borrowers is this is your first time ever taking out a loan. You have no history of loans in your NSLDS or any of that nature, then yeah. So I would like to make all the students aware who are listening to this. The spring loan deadline is March 19th. So after March 19th, you will not be eligible to take out any more spring loans. Okay? Now there are going to be summer loans coming out, but you need to fill out the application, and that application will become available March 22nd through eTrieve. Okay? Do we have any questions? Anybody? Okay. So just for your information, as of right now, we are actually in need of work study applicants. So if you are interested in the work study program for what to just make some extra money and work here with us and on the campus and work as a work study, we are looking for applicants. The eligibility to become a work study is you have to be enrolled in at least 6 credit hours. You must have unmet need, which we will explain to you once you fill out your application, and we will let you know if you have unmet need, and you must be finished entirely with the financial aid process. Okay? So now I'm going to start getting into some financial aid do's and don'ts. Some of the things that would actually help you out with, just being successful filling out your FAFSA and everything. So Always make sure your classes are on your degree plan and verify this with your academic advisor. So what we mean by this is always be as soon as you register for classes or even before you register for classes, always talk, it's always a good idea to talk to an academic advisor and make sure that the classes that you're signing up for are indeed under your degree plan because if they are not, financial aid will not pay for classes that are not within your degree plan. And we get this question a lot about well, my classes, I haven't received my Pell Grant, I haven't gotten my loans and stuff like that. And once we check their classes, they show up, a lot of their classes show up as not under the degree plan and stuff of that nature. So always be sure to get in contact with an academic advisor before you register for your classes to make sure that they are indeed within your degree plan. Okay, so another thing that we always have issues with is so the FAFSA application for the next school year always comes out in October. So say right now we are in 2021, that will end in the summer. 21-22 would take place. The 22-23 school FAFSA will come out this October. So once that comes out, then always make sure to always apply early as soon as possible. As soon as you can get that application in, the better because that helps us out in the long run. Okay, because we can get you processed quicker and everything. So by the time the classes start, you're already ready to go. You have your financial aid and anything you might need. Okay, so always apply early. Never expect to say classes start, we have classes started on the 22nd. So if you're just now applying for financial aid, more than likely, if you get selected for verification, you're not going to be done by the 22nd. Just for an example, since we're off by next week for spring break and everything. So don't ever apply for financial aid like a week before your classes start and expect to have financial aid because it's not going to happen. Like I said earlier, our processing dates are 2 to 3 weeks for the 2021 school year and 4 to 6 weeks for the 21-22 school year. Okay. Uh, let's see. So another issue that we have a lot here at financial aid is actually with the verification paperwork. A lot of the verification paperwork requires a wet signature, meaning that on the signature slot, it needs to be signed in pen for us to actually process it. If you just type in your name on your verification worksheets, then we can accept it, especially on if you're turning in your, if we require tax documents and you're turning in your 1040s, those need to be signed by the Black Arrow signature block. If they are not signed and they are self-prepped, we cannot accept them. The only time we do not require a signature on the 1040s is if you actually went to a tax prepper and they have all their information on the tax prepper bracket where it has their name, their ID, and all their information on there, then that is the only time we will not require a signature for your 1040s and we can accept them like that. But if you're looking at your 1040s as self-prep, please sign or have your parents sign whoever tax return it is and turn it in that way. Okay. Another thing that we have issues with is the actual checklist. So on WebAdvisor, you will always see a checklist of things you need or you're missing and stuff like that to finish up your process, and it will say incomplete with a little checklist of the items you need. So always make sure to check that even after you turn in your studentaid.gov, I mean your FAFSA, I'm sorry, on studentaid.gov, after you turn that in, always make sure to check your web advisor, like I said, 3 to 5 business days afterwards, because we're not always able to reach out to all those students that need verification paperwork, and it's 2 or 3 weeks, and they just start emailing us and letting us know, like, hey, why haven't I been processed? Well, you were selected for verification 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we weren't able to get to you. We apologize. Like I said, we do have a large influx of students all the time. So always make sure to check your web advisor and check your checklist. And also, another issue that we have is so the system doesn't get updated automatically. So, say you have 2 or 3 things on your checklist and you turn them in, and a week later they're still showing incomplete or still needed. So don't worry about that. If you already know for a fact, then you got in contact with a financial aid advisor and they've told you, yes, you have all of your paperwork turned in. It's going to show incomplete until your FAFSA is completely processed. So just disregard that. If you've already turned in your paperwork and it's still showing incomplete or still items still needed, then I wouldn't worry about it. Just make sure that you have turned in your stuff, and if anything, we'll email you if you are missing anything that was not turned in. Also like to remind everybody to please be patient. Our office is in charge of we are in charge of the entire financial aid network for all CTC campuses worldwide. So that covers students all around the world. I talk on a daily basis, talk to students from, you know, the other side of the world, Germany, stuff like that, soldiers all over the world. So we do handle a large portion of students, and we are the only financial aid office in the network. So, like I said, please be patient. Do I have any questions? Anyone? So the best way to reach us is actually through email. That is the best way to reach us. Somebody will get back to you within a few days. So our email is financial.aid@ctcd.edu. So make sure to reach out to us if you have any questions of any sort or anything regarding financial aid. Um, Sharon, is there anything you'd like to add?
Y'all see me?
Yes,
Okay, and you can hear me just fine?
yes.
Okay, sorry everyone. I was having technical difficulties. Just to piggyback off of the loan deadline that's approaching, guys, I want to reiterate to you guys, like up until March 19th, you do have the option if you have previously denied your loans, but decide that maybe you need them now, you have until March 19th to make those requests or changes. If you want to borrow a lesser amount or borrow more money, you have until March 19th to make those changes. After March 19th, you will not be able to make any changes to the spring loans that have already been awarded, denied, rejected, anything like that. I do want to speak more about the summer loan request form, just to give you a little bit of understanding as to why we're implementing that. Summer loan request form is actually for your benefit, so you're not over borrowing which means later on you'll end up having to repay money. So typically what happens is during the summer, we get transient students. Transient students are students that attended other universities or institutions for the fall and the spring semester, and they decide they want to come to a 2-year for and pick up classes over the summer because they may be home or back in the area. Students that are transient students are not eligible to receive any loans or financial aid from this institution because you're not degree seeking. This does not apply if you're transferring over. So let's say you've been going to another institution for fall and spring, but now you're transferring and degree seeking with Central Texas College. That does not apply to you. You will need to complete a loan request form. And what that does is allow us to be able to go in and see how much you actually can be awarded for. Those forms are going to be found on the eTrieve system or eForms located on the CTC website up under student tools. You go there, simply fill it out, and then you can email it directly to financial aid or you can email it directly to me. I will put my email address in the chat box so you'll have it. Please allow at least 5 business days for us to process that because we are doing this for every student that is requesting loans for the summer. So we just ask that you be patient. We will get you awarded in a timely manner. If you have any questions about the form when you are completing it, if you don't know how much funds you have left available, that's perfectly all right. You can also reach out and we'll help you and let you know what to put in those boxes, okay?
Okay, so I did forget to touch on 2 points here. So questions regarding eligibility. So these are questions that we get a lot here at Financial Aid is why is it showing that I am ineligible for X amount or stuff like that. So there are many reasons for why a student would be ineligible for a percentage or a um, half of their Pell or a quarter of it, stuff like that. So the Pell Grant's actually broken down when It's 12 credit hours is to get your full Pell Grant. Once you start taking less than that, then it gets broken down into quarters. So 3 to 5 credit hours is less than half time, which you'll be receiving a quarter of your Pell Grant. 6 to 8 is half of your Pell Grant. 9 to 12 I'm sorry, 9 to 11 is 3/4, and 12 plus is your full Pell Grant. So when a student applies for only 6 credit hours, and that is all they were applied for the entire semester, and they have a full Pell Grant of, say, the 3,173, they will be ineligible for half of their Pell Grant, and that is why it shows ineligible. It's not because um, of anything that they did or anything like that. Also, when you stagger your classes, it also causes that. So say you have 2 classes starting in January 19th, and you have 2 classes starting in March 22nd. So something interesting happens here. So when you register for 4 classes like that and they have staggered start dates, the business office is going to see you are registered for 4 classes. So you owe for 4 classes. The financial aid department is only going to pick up the 2 classes 10 days prior. Remember, I had mentioned that. So we are only going to pick up the 2 classes 10 days prior to your class start date. So we're going to see the 2 classes, and we're only going to release half of your Pell. So once we release half of your Pell to the business office is going to apply the total tuition of all 4 classes to the Pell that we released. So this is what confuses a lot of students sometimes, and it's just the nature of the beast. Like, it's just how it works. But so yes, so that's what confuses a lot of students. But the other half of the Pell is not going to be released until 10 days prior in the March classes. So, so we're going to release half in January and then the other half in March. And that would also show up as being ineligible in your web advisor. We have been trying to get them to change that wording, but for whatever reason, it's still it still is what it is. But when you check your web advisor, it'll show you ineligible for half, but it's just because your classes don't start till later. Another reason would be, like I said earlier, maybe some of your classes are not within your degree plan. That's why it was showing eligible. Um, or you're just not registered for the full 12 credit hours. Another thing I'd like to mention is loans. You do need 6 credit hours to be eligible for loans. So if you're not registered for 6 credit hours concurrently, which is both classes starting on the same date, one starts in January, one starts in March, and that's not going to work. You won't be eligible for your loans until 10 days prior to March starting, or your class in March starting. Another thing that I'd like to also touch on is for TEOG students eligibility. So this is a self-service. The self-service will show on hold because it must be dispersed on a manual basis. So that is something that our office also takes care of. But like I said, it is handled on a manual basis, student per student case, and that's how those funds are dispersed. Okay. So let's see. Anything else, Sharon?
Just want to piggyback and make sure that we reiterate what the 6 credit hours that's a requirement for the loans. Guys, a lot of times you guys reach out to me, hey, my funds in disperse, and I look and you're in classes that are staggered start dates, and I try to explain to you and you don't understand. I just want to reiterate that it is imperative that if you plan on using your direct loans, you will need to register for 6 credit hours at one time, meaning that they will start on the same day in order for those funds to be accessible to you. Like Jorge said, if you are staggered, then we release the funds 10 days prior to that second class that you're starting that makes you eligible for 6 credit hours. Also, another thing that wasn't touched on is if your classes run past the semester dates, then it's not considered a class that will be covered by financial aid. And again, your loans will not disperse to the business office. So make sure that you are paying attention to semester dates and know when your classes should fall in between. That way you can remain eligible for those funds and you'll be able to maximize your usage from them, okay? I don't have too much for the loans because we talk about the same things over and over. I do want to bring up the loan acknowledgement form, though. I know a lot of people are getting alerts in their Eagle Self Service about the loan acknowledgement form. That form is not required until the next academic school year, which starts in August. If you have already completed it, thank you, you're ahead. If you have not completed it, it's perfectly fine, but that notification will stay up there until you complete it. It is not a requirement in order for your funds to disperse for the spring and summer semesters I'm sorry, this academic year. So if you, like I said, if you've already completed it, you're ahead. Thank you so much for being ahead. But if you have not, don't worry about it because it's not impacting you now. But it will need to be completed prior to August start date, okay? Also, too, the loan acknowledgement form is completely separate from the master promissory note or agreement and loan entrance counseling. So when you're coming in and you're doing your checklist items, it should be 3 things that you do in order to remain eligible to receive your loans. They should be the loan entrance counseling, the master promissory note, and also the loan acknowledgement, okay? Like I said, for this current academic year, you do not have to worry so much about the loan acknowledgement form, but I do want to put it out there coming into the next academic school year that begins in August to make sure that and pay attention to those 3 things and make sure that they are done. So therefore, we do not delay the release of your disbursements, okay?
Yes. So do we have any other questions? Any questions at all?
There is a question actually, Jorge. He says, if I'm late to receive financial aid for March 22nd classes, when do I need to fill out the FAFSA for summer classes?
You would need to fill that out right now because, like I said, it takes 2 to 3 weeks. So the sooner you fill it out, the better. If you're too late to fill out your FAFSA for March 22nd, you could still make the summer classes if you fill out your FAFSA today. So go on studentaid.gov and make sure to fill out your FAFSA for 2021. And
And I
we'll
do,
receive it in 3 to 5 business days. So we are off next week for spring break, so we won't be able to review it until we get back on the 22nd.
correct. And for those of you that are starting classes on the 22nd of March, because we will be out for spring break all next week, your funds will not disperse to the business office for those classes until the 22nd. Unfortunately, the most we could do it out is 10 days, and 10 days no one would be in the office to release those funds, which would put us on the 12th. So, which is next Tuesday, and nobody will be here. Oh, actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm sorry. Those funds will get released on the 12th. Sorry, I had to correct
There you go.
myself. So much information trickling in. We are going to get those funds released on the 12th
Yes,
before
they will be
spring break.
released.
Sorry about that. Also, for my Kate Center students, please make sure, I cannot stress enough, please make sure that you are self-identifying. If you plan on taking summer courses, please go ahead and let me know so I can prepare. You guys are a little bit different, so you won't have the loan request forms to complete if you are a Kate Center student, of course, because we award you differently. So make sure that if you do plan on taking classes for the Kate Center, please make sure that you are self-identifying. I will also reach out to Mrs. Martin as I do every semester and also get a list to try to stay ahead. But in the event that you are missed, please, as soon as you know that you want to register for summer classes, let us know so we can go ahead and get those funds out for you.
Okay, any other questions? That was a good question.
No more questions?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions, and Mariceli says she's not seeing any on Facebook either. So to kind of summarize or wrap up, apply now for summer FAFSA financial aid. Same thing for fall, apply as soon as possible and that kind of thing. So is there any last words of wisdom that you would want to bestow upon our students?
Just no, just apply early and just make sure to turn in all your paperwork, and we'll get you processed in a timely manner.
Okay, great.
Can you kind of let them know what the processing time is right now? Jorge, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier.
I did. I did. I
Okay.
said 2 to 3 weeks for 2021 academic school year and 4 to 6 for 21-22.
Awesome. Okay. And then for the
You
loan
guys have
office,
a live chat feature that people can access, or is it strictly email?
We do. If you go on to ctcd.edu and click on financial aid, there should be a live chat window on there.
Okay,
For WebEx, yes.
we'll put that out there if we can.
Mm-hmm. Here, let me pull it up.
Oh, another important piece that I do want to bring up too is students, make sure that you are checking your Eagle Mail. That is our form of communication that we use. So a lot of times you guys will email us from your personal email and you'll expect for us to respond back to your personal email. We are not allowed to send any information that contains your financial aid information to your or school information to a personal email. We have to send them via your Eagle Mail. So make sure that you guys are logging in and checking that. Sorry about my light in my room, guys. It keeps going off. There, but yeah, that I just wanted to reiterate that as well.
Yes. Okay, so no more questions?
I don't have any here in the chat. Marisol, one last run for Facebook chats. All right, none. And one thing, let me just remind everyone, this session will be fed over to YouTube later on, either late today or tomorrow. So if there's any questions or anything that you think of that might be helpful to you that watched this but didn't quite get the notes, you can view this same session on YouTube at a later date on our CTC YouTube channels. That way, you'll always have access to this information. So if there's something that you didn't quite think to ask, or if there's something that you, oh, I should have wrote that down, access it on YouTube. It'll be there for you probably tomorrow.
Awesome.
Okay, with no questions, Sharon, Jorge, thank you guys so much for helping us out. We appreciate it. And let me also remind everyone, this financial aid CTC live session is recurring once a month. It'll be the second Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. So as we get closer to the next semester and further into the summer, closer to the fall semester, I'm sure you guys are going to have more questions about any issues that Jorge and Sharon brought up or anything that you didn't think of. So just keep tuning in with us, checking in, and we'll keep relaying this information to help you out and make sure that your financial aid, FAFSA, and all that information is successful when you apply. Okay?
Okay.
All right, great. Maricela, anything you want to add? She's muted.
No, everything's great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a wonderful day.
You guys
All
have a good
right,
day.
Sharon and Jorge, if you'll hang on, we'll just say thank you all again for tuning in. And again, check us on YouTube, and we'll be back again the second Tuesday in April for more financial aid updates and news. Thank you all very much.